Welcome back to another episode of Friday Night Frights. Sadly, this is the last fourth of the year. My heart is broken, not because there's a stake in it. Halloween is nearly over. So, in celebration of Halloween, I am reading to you a classic, a Halloween staple for everyone. This is a celebration of 50 years. It is The Great Pumpkin, Little Charlie Brown by Charles M. Schultz. Oh my, what a pretty little book. This book belongs to me now. Okay. Every fall, the leaves on the trees turn brown and fall off the branches. Pumpkins grow big and plump in their patches, and the air grows cooler. People start to think about their Halloween costumes. Not me. Mine is year round. The air grows colder. I already read that. About the cold air and people putting their stuff in costumes, you know. And every fall, Linus writes a very important letter. Dear Great Pumpkin, Linus writes, I'm looking forward to your arrival on Halloween night. I hope you will bring us lots of presents. Who are you writing to? Asks Charlie Brown. The Great Pumpkin, Linus replies. On Halloween night, the Great Pumpkin rises out of his pumpkin patch and flies through the air with his bag of toys for all of the children. Sounds a little bit like a man in a red suit. Linus' sister Lucy is very happy that Linus is writing to the Great Pumpkin. You'll make me a laughing stock of the neighborhood, she complains. She's always so dramatic. But Charlie Brown's little sister doesn't think Linus is crazy. She has hearts for him. She thinks Linus is wonderful and he is her sweet baboo. Wouldn't you like to sit with me in the pumpkin patch on Halloween night and wait for the Great Pumpkin? Linus asks. Sally was thrilled. I'd love to, she tells Linus, her sweet baboo. Later that day, Charlie Brown had a surprise waiting for him in the mailbox. I've got an invitation to a Halloween party, he exclaims. Lucy thinks the invitation must be a mistake. There were two lists, she tells Charlie Brown. One to invite and one not to invite. Charlie Brown knows the list was knows which list he was probably on, but he decides to go to the party anyway. Oh, bugger, I just spilled my drink. It spilled all over my chair. Oh, goodness gracious. So see, he got all happy and dancing. On Halloween night, everybody was planning to go to the party except for Linus. My blockhead brother will be out in the pumpkin patch making his yearly fool of himself, Lucy grumbles. She can't understand why Linus would choose to miss out on all the fun Halloween has to offer by sitting around in a pumpkin patch. Well, apparently Lucy doesn't quite understand. If you sit around in a pumpkin patch, people come by to steal the pumpkins, you get a chance to bite them. So it's a win-win. He gets the Great Pumpkin, I get my victims, and so on and so forth. Linus and I, we're like this, man. We're like blood and plasma. Here you go. Everyone puts on their costumes. Lucy is dressed as a witch. Charlie Brown is dressed as a ghost, but no one could tell what he's supposed to be because he had some trouble with the scissors. I always thought he looked like a potato with a bunch of eyes. Sally also dressed as a ghost, so is Schroeder. He found out how to use the scissors just in time. Pigpen is dressed as a ghost too. Everyone could tell which ghost he is because he has a cloud of dust around him. Snoopy walks by, dressed in a costume. Who in the world is that? Asks Lucy. He's the World War I flying ace, Charlie Brown exclaims. Now, I've seen everything, Lucy says. No, Lucy, you haven't seen everything. You're only 8 years old. You haven't seen anything just yet. Maybe for her age. Lucy declares that everyone will go trick-or-treating first and then go to the Halloween party. Who died and made her boss? And they pass by the pumpkin patch. Linus sees them and gets excited, thinking they come all that way just to see him. You have to come and sing pumpkin carols with me, he asks. You blockhead, Lucy yells at her brother. You're going to miss out on all the fun, just like last year. Are there pumpkin carols? I knew a woman named Carol that carved the pumpkin. Don't talk like that, Linus cries. The great pumpkin will come because I'm the most sincere in the pumpkin patch. Oh, good grief, Lucy exclaims. She marches off with her friends. It looks like no one wants to join Linus in the pumpkin patch to wait for the great pumpkin. Except, what about Sally? Do you remember what happened to Sally? Oh my goodness, she comes running with the hearts flying all around. Sally is torn. She doesn't want to miss out on all the fun, the trick-or-treating and the party. Speaking of that, I only had 9 kids show up this year, so I'm stuck with a bunch of candy, and I just don't eat candy that much. It's terrible for my teeth. But Linus is her sweet baboo. What should she do? She runs back to the pumpkin patch. I'm glad you came back, Linus tells her. You'll see the great pumpkin with your own eyes. Linus is positive the great pumpkin will pick this patch. Why wouldn't he? The great pumpkin chooses the most sincere patch to visit every year. And now it could be a pumpkin patch. What? And how could a pumpkin patch be more sincere than this one? I don't know, maybe one that has 20,000 pumpkins in it? Sally hopes Linus is right. Meanwhile, the rest of the kids go trick-or-treating. Tricks or treats, money or eats. They yell at the front door. Everyone compares what they got. I've got 50 pieces of candy, brags Lucy. I've got a chocolate bar, exclaims Patty. I've got a quarter, says Violet happily. You remember when they used to give us money? I don't remember that. I go out there, oh, don't trick or treat, and the guy just throws some money in my bag. That was back in the day, and 10, 15 cents to get you a bunch of stuff. Not no more. 10 or 15 cents won't even allow you to pay attention. I got a rock, says Charlie Brown sadly. And that happens at every door. All the other kids get wonderful treats like candy, gum, popcorn balls. Charlie Brown gets rocks. The poor guy. Well, I mean, a costume like that, I mean, is that the Holy Ghost, or is he a ghost of one of the World War I's flying aces victims that he shot up? I don't get it, but he always gets a rock, poor Charlie Brown. Lucy decides they have done enough trick-or-treating. There she goes, bossing everybody around. and it's time to go to the party after all. Everyone has a bag filled to the brim with treats. Everyone except Charlie Brown. He has a bag full of rocks, which he starts throwing at cars. No, you don't do that. That's just terrible. Terrible. I'm sorry I said that. Oh, Vampire is such a terrible person. You don't throw rocks at cars. Throw them at your friends for teasing you. Don't do that either. On their way to the party, they passed by the pumpkin patch again. The kids laughed at Linus and Lucy for waiting there instead of coming to the party. The great pumpkin will be here, Sally yells, defending Linus. After the kids walk away, Sally turns to Linus. All right, where is he? She asks. He'll be here, Linus assures her. I hope so, she replies. Think of all the fun we're missing. I mean, she's just a little bit upset. It's not all hearts flying around their head for the sweet Babu. Now, he's not even a Babu. He's a baboon. And the Halloween party is a lot of fun for everyone except for Charlie Brown. At first, Charlie Brown thinks the night is looking up when one of the other kids asks him to model for the jack-o'-lantern. That sounds like a great honor, but when he realizes that being the model means having Violet draw a big pumpkin face on the back of his head. You remember that scene? I thought that was so funny. That could have been his costume. He could have just walked backwards down the street. Meanwhile, in the pumpkin patch, Sally is growing tired, waiting for the great pumpkin. If anyone had told me I'd be waiting in a pumpkin patch on Halloween night, I'd said they were crazy, she complains. But just then, she and Linus hear a rumbling noise, and they see a shadow emerging from the pumpkin patch. It's the great pumpkin rising out of the pumpkin patch, Linus yells. He is so excited to see the pumpkin patch. To see the great pumpkin that he faints. Lucy's still just a little, or Sally, she's still just a little bit upset. Linus there, he passed out and he accidentally watered the pumpkins, if you know what I mean. But it isn't the great pumpkin after all. It's just a World War I flying ace on his way back from the very important mission. I think that'd be pretty cool, seeing a World War I flying ace. Come back. You could the stories he would have to tell. Linus wakes up and asks Sally, what happened? I was robbed, howls Sally. Halloween is over and I missed it. She stomps out of the pumpkin patch, leaving Linus all alone to wait for the great pumpkin. Linus falls asleep waiting. Later that night, Lucy comes to bring him home and tuck him into his warm bed. The next day, Charlie Brown tries to make Linus feel better. Don't take it too hard. The great pumpkin never showed up, he tells his friend, but Linus doesn't feel let down. Just wait until next year, he tells Charlie Brown. I'll find the most sincere pumpkin patch and I'll sit in that pumpkin patch until the great pumpkin appears. Do you believe in the great pumpkin? See, there's empty pages. Did the great pumpkin ever come and visit you? Do you have a sincere pumpkin patch? The pumpkins I grew never came to fruition. So, now it's the time that you've all been waiting for. Your Uncle Count Vampire, as promised, is going to draw names out of this hat, out of 537 people. And to see who the winner is of this Walmart exclusive Striker. I've enjoyed watching the awe it struck to me in the box. Just sitting here, like I said, I put mine together. It's a nice trick or treat prize for somebody. So guess what? It's a trick. I'm not giving this away. It's too valuable. Just kidding. I promised I keep my word. All right. Let's get this going here. Throwing a name. And what do we got there? Kirk. Kirk, congratulations. You can read that. It says Kirk. Congratulations, Mr. Kirk. You are the winner. Winner human dinner of this beautiful mint and box. You could see that it's all taped up. Mint and box, all striker from Walmart. Count Vampire got lucky and found two and opened one for Vampire and saved one for Kirk or anybody else who was so fortunate to win. So congratulations. I will leave my email down in the description. And you send me your particulars. I keep all that confidential. Actually, I forget after I write it on the envelope. I'll delete the email so I don't remember. I'll send you the tracking number and all that good stuff. So when you get the prize, you'd say, hey, thank you, Vampire. So anyway, congratulations to Kirk. And thank you all very much for joining me with Friday Night Frights and Saturday Scares and for subscribing to my channel. I honestly wish I had a prize for everybody, but I would run out of stuff to give away. So I want to thank you all and do apologize that I don't have a prize for everyone. You all deserve it. You're all very deserving, kind, wonderful people who have become my friends over the years. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed your Halloween, took your kids out to get the candy and stuff like that, and just enjoyed having friends and loved ones around. So if you are taking a drink, like me and my skeleton hand, this is non-alcoholic. Cherry Coke with a little bit of A positive. So if you are drinking, please get a designated driver or call a cab to get home safely. I want to see you guys around for a long time. Remember, be kind to everybody, be kind to all your animals and stuff like that, and wash your hands and obey the safety standards so nobody gets sick. So until next year, this is Count Vampire signing off. Going to take a long nap now. And Joe Motion will be back next month for more G.I. Joe toy reviews. So until next Halloween, we'll see you later. Love, peace, and rotten corpse grease. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.